Sun City's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. Oh, and I say, ooh, I'm blinded by blue eyes. No, I can't see you, and I need to touch. Anyway, I've been listening to Blinding Lights a lot. Welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys.
I just want to say once again, there is now not just me here to judge you. There's now other people here there's people here to judge you.
Hundreds of people. We've been getting hundreds of views every episode.
There's no one here to judge you. You're being judged, Fraser.
I am being judged, but you know what? I don't mind being judged. Singing is one of my favorite things. If anyone knows me, I am a little jukebox. I just start singing shit randomly. I have a lot of songs in my head, and I'll just whip them out.
Yo, same.
I don't even know the words.
And I know I'm not a good singer.
Me either.
At all.
Me either. I suck at it. I'm the words. I make up shit. I think I just made up some words in that Weekend song. But Blinding Lights, I played it on repeat today with the volume on 100, and I was fucking jamming. Okay, that song is amazing. That whole album is amazing.
That whole album, In Your Eye, anyway. That whole album's amazing.
I was listening. Is so good too. Oh my god,
it's insane. I was speaking of singing. I went through. We were trying to find a clip of me smacking my camera from my stream the other day. Ant was streaming, I was on the stream. We were talking about when I was fighting the Kingdom Hearts bosses and I got mad and smacked my camera. And I couldn't find the clip. But while looking for clips, I would just click on random clips because they would have a weird name. And it would just be me singing. And I'm like, I would have never guessed this is a clip of me singing. And it's me, but it's not me singing a real song. It's me making songs up.
Okay, I know you do that. You're fucking weird. But yes, you do make up songs.
It's just me making up songs, singing the weirdest shit. Like one of the clips was called "Inside the Mind of a Serial Killer," and I was like, "What is this clip about?" And it's just it's just me singing some random shit. And I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest with you right now, Kenny, because of how you look now with the long hair, the glasses, you're white.
Yeah.
You just kind of, the inside of mind of a serial killer may be a little too close to home. I'm just gonna.
And then when I heard the lyrics, I had a really weird voice on, and I said something about like mashing you up like mashed potatoes, and it's God. Something about the mind of Al Qaeda. Like I rhymed potato with Al Qaeda.
What is it, the Eminem song now? Are you fucking Eminem's ghostwriter? Is that what's happening?
And dog, I don't remember doing that at all. I laughed so fucking hard at myself.
You're ridiculous. You're a ridiculous human being.
But yeah. Anyway, we both like singing. We're both not good at it.
No.
I'd argue that genetically you're better because I think in general it's
black people
more common for a black person to be able to sing than a white person. I don't know if I made that up.
That's probably true. I can see that. I
just feel like in general.
So last week, I think it was last week or the week before, but I just had a random memory recall where I remembered in college, Rock Band came out, like my freshman or sophomore year of college, Rock Band came out. And I love to play Guitar Hero. I was really big into that. I wasn't like very, very good at it, but I like to play it a lot, especially in like lower difficulties and everything. I never got like all extreme mode and all that. But anyway, when I would play, and my college was predominantly white, and everyone who played were like, "Hey, Fraser, you know the deal. You're on bass." And at the time, I would be like, "What the fuck? Like, why? Like, legitimately, like, why am I always supposed to be on bass?" Because I didn't know the inside joke that like black people can just play bass. Why was I actually good at it though? Like seriously, I used to think that I was good on guitar, and that's what I played because just Guitar Hero, that's all you could play. But then when I switched to Rock Band and I started playing bass, I was so much better at bass than guitar. And obviously my singing sucks. I was always off pitch. But with bass, I was fucking godly. So
my man,
I actually found my place in the world. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I know like people commented because like there's a South Park episode, of course, where Token gets told, you're on bass. Like, you know why you're on bass. You're on bass. There's a bass in your basement randomly, and it was there, and he could randomly play it. And life, what they say, art imitates life or something like that. That's definitely true. The South Park definitely got that. I think all stereotypes really, like, right? Like stereotypes there's some truth to them. They come from some level of truth.
Yeah, you're allowed to say that. I'm not.
You can't say that?
I can't say that.
But you can't say that stereotypes have some level of truth to them?
If I say that, you're going to have a new Hispanic partner.
Okay.
All
right. Well, I don't want to get you in any trouble. But anyway, guys, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast. I think this is episode like 45 or so. And I am in a really, really good mood. I am going to LA tomorrow for the YCS that is now canceled. Actually,
I need you to stop saying you're going for the YCS.
you know, it was funny is that I was never going for the YCS, even if the YCS was actually this weekend. I was never going for that. I was always going for a vacation, to shop, to eat, to change of weather, because it's cold as hell here in Philadelphia where we live at. It's like literally, I remember texting my friend 2 days ago saying, LOL was 24 degrees outside with no context, just that. LOL was 24 degrees outside. And then I started saying shit like I'm older than the weather. So I don't like when I'm older than the weather. I like to, be comfortably below it. And I am not comfortably below it. Black people do not like the cold. So I'm going to Cali where it's like 66 to 70 every single day. And maybe I won't come back. Maybe I'll just stay there and we could do the podcast from there. It doesn't matter where I'm at technically with Discord, but we can do the podcast there. And I can work from home there because I already work from home. So it'd be great.
California love.
California love. So how have you been, Kenny? What have you been up to?
I've been tired, dog. I've been tired as shit.
Motherfucking tired. I'm tired, boss.
I've been fucking tired. Catching up and watching a bunch of stuff for the podcast and future episodes of the podcast, and then other than that, just doing family shit. But yeah, I finished Odd Taxi for whenever we do that episode.
That could be our next one.
I caught up on what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about the new Demon Slayer episode and the first episode of Attack on Titan final season part 2. So those are like the main topics because anime was crazy this weekend.
I at some point, not recently, but somewhat recently because I hadn't done it by the end of the year, but I finished, what's that show called? The Boys.
Oh, you finished The Boys?
Yeah, I finished The Boys. Like I said, I have one movie left for Hunger Games.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna get Jaden to watch The Matrix. So we could do the new Matrix.
Yeah, you're on it.
I feel like there's something else I wanted to do for the pod. Oh, randomly, I don't know if we would do it. I think maybe it would fit. I don't know if did you ever see that show Dexter on Showtime?
I did.
About the serial killer?
I saw the first 2 or 3 seasons. I believe I watched them at your house as well in like 2010.
Oh yeah, you did. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I remember so random. Actually, okay. There was an episode of Dexter. Man, this is a random podcast episode. There was an episode of Dexter. I remember first was watching it at my house. This just popped back in my head. And we're sitting there watching it together. And as we're watching it, there's a guy on screen just like doing something. And Fraser goes, "That guy's gay." I was like, what? He was like, "I'm telling you, that guy's gay." And then, I don't know, within 30 minutes of the show, the guy tried to suck Dexter's dick or something.
See?
I just knew. What the fuck?
Sometimes my gator will be on point.
But that happened. But anyway, the new Dexter, had like a new season that came back after 10 years. A season just came out on Showtime, just finished, and it's apparently Showtime's most watched show of all time now. And I thought that was interesting.
I'm tired of that headline. It's
crazy.
That headline keeps happening. It just happened with Netflix again. Happening. Yeah, that Netflix now, Don't Look Up, whatever, that new movie or something with Leonardo DiCaprio and some other people.
You're telling me about it.
There's some new Netflix movie that's all the rave right now. A lot of people said it's awful. Then some people say it's brilliant. I don't know who to believe. I haven't watched it for myself yet. Maybe I'll watch it on my plane. But anyway, there's a lot of talks about this show, and Netflix or whoever put out a thing saying that it's Netflix's most watched movie of all time or the fastest watched thing and all. I'm starting to think that these are just fake.
No. I don't think it's fake. I think it's inflation. I think that just like the dollar's being inflated, I think because of the pandemic, when everybody was at home and did nothing but watch Netflix, there's more Netflix watch. There's more people watch TV. Whereas before there was people that'd be like, "I don't watch TV. I go to work."
Sure, that definitely is a factor. I don't know though. I also feel like there's just a bit of marketing going on with the whole, this is the biggest show out right now. It makes you feel like you're missing out.
Yeah.
It's the FOMO thing. I think FOMO was fantastic marketing. It works on my ass a lot. I mean, honestly, I've said it here, but that is how I watched Squid Game, because of FOMO. I didn't really care for, when I looked at the, just the thumbnail of it, I didn't care for it. But then when you start seeing memes, it's like, okay, I can't be left out of the memes. Like, I need to be involved with the memes. I refuse. So as soon as the show gets memes, I'm in. So if they start doing memes for this Don't Look Up show, I'm going to have to watch.
Is it a show or a movie?
A movie, whatever it is. It's on Netflix.
If it's a movie, I'll watch
it. Honestly, with Netflix, everything's a movie because we We always binge that
Yes.
shit anyway.
True.
Everything's a
That's
movie,
so
Kenny.
true. You know what's funny? This is random, but why is it easier to watch? It's easier to watch 10 hours of one episode of 1 hour episodes than it is to watch like a 2 hour movie. You see a movie and you're like, I don't want to sit through a movie.
Yeah.
But then you put on a fucking show and you watch 10 episodes of it and you're like, oh.
I recently started this show on Netflix called Emily in Paris because it kept being mentioned in another podcast I listened to by the most unsuspecting podcaster I would ever expect to be watching something like this. So I was really curious about it. And it sounds like a Devil Wears Prada spinoff, which is one of my favorite movies, fashion movie. Meryl Streep's in it. She's phenomenal. But Emily in Paris, I didn't expect the podcast that I listened to. His name is Maul, and he's doing the Joe Budden podcast, but they split. Anyway, he talks about it all the time. And after a while, I think just hearing something over and over again, it starts to make, interested, right? That's just how it works. So I started it. Exactly.
Anyway,
I started it, and honestly, it's a rant. I don't think the show is very good. If I'm being completely honest, it's just like random American girl goes to Paris. She doesn't speak any French really, and she's working for a fashion magazine. She ends up screwing a bunch of French guys, and they started calling it Paris and Emily. And I just kind of put it on as background noise now. I finished season one, but it's one of those shows where you just kind of put it on, but you don't have to fully pay attention to it because you kind of know what's happening.
Don't you? Not saying this was that guy's opinion, but don't you find it interesting and or weird when something is someone's favorite show and then you watch it and you're like, this isn't good. Like,
that happens to me often.
You're like, how is this your favorite show? Like, this is just not good.
Yeah, when people hype things up and then I go and watch them and I don't feel the same way, it's kind of scary to me when it happens because I start to wonder if something's wrong with me or something wrong with them. Because one of us has to just be off somewhere.
One of us is wrong.
Especially if it's your favorite. It's one thing to be like, oh, I thought this was good, and it's just not good. For people who say shit like Venom or The Matrix, the new one, was good. Like, those people are psychopaths. And that's fine. But like, if you say something is your favorite, if you said that Matrix movie is my favorite movie, I would be afraid of you. I would be fucking afraid, okay? I would not sleep around you. I would not leave food around you. I would not drink after you. No hugs. No. I wouldn't even dap you up. I would be literally afraid. So that's how I feel about people saying something is my favorite, and it's like they say some shit like Naruto Shippuden is my favorite. I'm scared of people like that. Because like the bar is so low if that is your favorite anime. Like if Naruto Shippuden is your favorite anime, or I should say Naruto in general, honestly.
It depends on who I'm talking to. If you're like a nerd like Gary, myself, you, or Gary,
yes,
and I know you've seen a million things and your favorite's Naruto, I question you. But if you're just like some guy from the hood, I get it. Because for whatever reason, everybody in the hood has seen Naruto.
That's
I don't know why.
Naruto is the new Dragon Ball Z.
It really is.
It's the new Dragon Ball Z. Everyone from the hood has seen it. And Naruto's not bad per se, but to say it is your favorite, I would assume that you were born in the 90s and like the late 90s, or actually probably the 2000s. If Naruto is your favorite anime, period, you were probably born in the late 2000s. And that's probably one of the only anime that you actually watch. That's typically what it is too. People who watch a lot of anime, I don't really think that I've never seen Naruto as number one. I don't think I've ever seen Naruto as number one for people who watch a lot of anime. But for people who may dabble here and there, sure. And that's acceptable because you only watch a few things. You watch your Dragon Ball, you watch your Naruto, you might dabble in Bleach or One Piece, the big one, Fairy Tail, all of that shit.
Word.
But yeah.
With all of that said.
Yeah, with all of that said.
Let's transition to something else that is some people's favorite that I think is good, but I don't understand how it's anyone's favorite. Demon Slayer.
Okay. Oh yeah, Demon Slayer. Okay, I want to make sure we're on the same page. So this weekend of anime was insane. I mean, the whole Sunday, because I also watched Euphoria on HBO, and I want Kenny to start watching that too. We could probably do an episode of the podcast on Euphoria because that show is that good to me.
What is Euphoria? Jesus Christ!
I know, I'm loading you up. But it's a show on HBO starring Zendaya. She is the main character. And
she's in everything. She's MJ. She's in Dune.
Look,
now she's getting euphoric.
Look, okay, she's the Kevin. She is the Kevin Hart of movie and TV shows now. She's everywhere. All right, she's starring in a bunch of shit, but she's phenomenal.
They did her right.
They did, and
wherever the fuck she's from.
Not only that, she won a Golden Globe for season 1. She won Best Actress in a drama for season 1, which is a really hard award to win. There's a lot of great actresses, as you might imagine, who are much older than her. I think she's one of the youngest people to win it too. But she's phenomenal in it. She plays a drug addict. She's the main character. I'm not talking about weed. I'm talking about hard drugs. She's a hardcore drug addict, and that's pretty much the premise of the show. It's really good. It's a high school drama, but it's HBO, so it's very uncut. Sometimes I get a little nervous because technically you're watching high school students, and they be showing some shit, and I'm like, I don't know. Like HBO pushes,
but all the actors, they don't have under 18 actors.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the loophole. It's like, well, I know Zendaya is 20 something. So it's like
23, 24.
Yeah. So I know that she's actually an adult. I know everyone in the show is an adult, but they're playing high school students. So when you see high schoolers having sex, it's like, that shit is weird to me. But the show is phenomenal. And HBO does not hold back on showing shit. And I mean, we've all watched Game of Thrones at this point. You know how they show a lot, especially a lot of penis. Oh my God. There was so much penis on Sunday.
Remember the South Park episode? Penis, 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 penis.
Is that the Game of Thrones intro with penis replaces like the words?
Yeah. There was a South Park. It was like the Black Friday Bundaroo Thanksgiving special. And also Game of Thrones was in there.
Yeah.
It was nuts. But yeah, they had like the Game of Thrones intro theme. And it was just like, penis, penis, penis.
Oh,
penis, penis.
You know what? I get it, because in Game of Thrones, there is a lot of penis.
Yeah.
Well, since Game of Thrones is over, I think that HBO has decided to shift all of the penises to Euphoria. There's a lot of it in there. But it, again, doesn't take away from the show. The show is really, really good. And it made Sunday insane for me because it started out with Demon Slayer at 11 a.m. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Philadelphia. So on the East Coast, Demon Slayer comes on at 11 a.m. and then Attack on Titan comes out around. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been watching it around 11 a.m. every single time. And this time I decided to actually watch it with Gary, which I almost never do for this season so far. So this is the first episode that we watched together for Demon Slayer of the new season. And boy, was it a good one for us to watch together. I turned the lights out. I just kind of felt it. I don't know why, like the energy shifted on that Sunday. I knew that some shit was going to pop off. So I was like, Gary, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing nothing. I was like, okay, let's watch Demon Slayer together. He's like, now? I was like, yes, Gary, now. So
yes, Gary.
We watched Demon Slayer, and I think that this episode is obviously one of the best so far in the entire show's small history. But I just have to say it anyway, because it's that good. It immediately started out with him, picking up where he left off. Tanjiro's fighting against Daki, and she's an upper moon. I've been always wondering, how the fuck is Tanjiro actually able to go somewhat toe to toe with her? She's an upper moon. She's stronger than Rui, and he couldn't do shit to Rui at all. Like, he could not deal with him at all. So it kind of bothered me with the power scaling. I know that he's been training. I know that he's going through some shit.
That's something that not to interject and put a little downpour on it, but that's one of the iffy things about Demon Slayer is that the pacing is lightning fast.
Oh, it's so
because
quick.
It's been like 6 months since he fought Rui, but you don't really feel like it's been 6 months. No. It might even be more than that, but it's been a really long time since he's fought Rui. But to us, it doesn't feel that way. So Tanjiro being so much stronger sometimes feels a little jarring.
It is jarring. I agree with you. The power scaling is all over the place. It's a bit fast, but I do cut them some slack because she wasn't at full power, which we didn't know until this episode. So during this season's been really weird. Episode 1 was amazing. It was the 45-minute episode, and then the other episodes were just the regular 22 minutes. Episode 1 was insane. And then it slowed down dramatically, which I'm fine with because they had to build up a story. I don't expect every episode to just be action, 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 or reveal, reveal, reveal. So when they slowed it down, I was fine with that. But something I could not get out of my head was when Inosuke was running around the brothel and there was a demon in the walls, as he called it. I didn't understand because I had just seen Daki lift an old woman up and drop her from really high in the air to kill her. And then at the same time, Inosuke's like chasing a different demon. So I started to wonder, what the fuck is going on in this arc? Like, who is the real issue here? I didn't understand what was going on. It was very weird. And come to find out, it's all technically this one demon. She just split her body up into these like string Hanamichi things or whatever they're called. And
it was also a little confusing. It took me a little bit to realize that the Orion, I don't know how to, the Orion, whatever,
Yeah.
like the number one geisha, the top prostitute, the bottom bitch.
Yeah.
It took me a while to realize that there's more than one. I thought
Yes.
there was one, period.
Me too.
And so so there was times where I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, I feel like that's not the same girl.
It wasn't.
So I was like, I know the Oiran or whatever is the demon, but then I saw another one. I was like, that's not the same girl, but I thought it was. And then it took me a second to realize, like, oh, I guess each brothel has their own top, but I thought there was only one.
Me too. I was a little lost in the beginning. And I kept looking at all of them, thinking that they were the demon. I thought that all of them were. So every time I saw one, I was like, well, it's her. And then then they showed another one, it was her. But then finally they showed one that was really mean. Like really mean. And that's when I realized, okay, that's the actual fucking demon right there.
I like when she cocked her head and she was like, what the fuck you... Like when she cocked her head and was like looking up at him.
She looks really good. I like the fact that they did make her hot. You know, anime hot, whatever that means, but like she does look really, really good for an anime character.
Trust me, I know what it means. I had a hard time reading the subtitles every time she was on the screen.
Yeah, she looks really good.
I was like, how am I supposed to read the subtitles while she's on the screen?
She looks good in and out of demon form too. She has that, you know, pretty much human form, and then she goes into the demon mode. I like both. She actually looks cool as hell in both. And then she has her real form, I guess, which they revealed in this episode when she absorbs all of her things back. Her hair changes. Yeah, she gets stronger and she gets like kind of like veins coursing through her body. But wait, let me back up a bit. So the episode starts off and Tanjiro is fighting her. And for the last couple episodes, when they first engaged, I thought he was going to get his ass beat immediately. He did get hit and everything, which I expected, but I thought that it was going to be one of those things where like the Hashira was going to come in and save Tanjiro pretty early into the fight before he got himself killed. Because this is our first encounter with an upper moon that is attacking Tanjiro. Like, Akaza didn't get the chance to get to him. He wanted to, but Rengoku was there, and Rengoku didn't let him get anywhere near. So this is Tanjiro's first time clashing swords with an upper moon. I expected him to get zero diffed real quick. And it did bother me these last couple episodes watching him. He freed the woman. He sliced off one of her strings. He freed someone, and like he was doing all this other shit, blocking attacks. And that just didn't really sit well with me. But then in this episode, out of nowhere, while she's fighting him, she randomly has this moment where all of her, I guess, separated body parts start to fly towards her. And it almost, I don't know if she activated that or if something triggered it. Like maybe Uzui slicing all of them up.
Yeah, it seemed like to me because they were showing stuff happening at different times, but it seemed like to me because of the sound Hashira went in there and started fucking shit up. That because it didn't seem deliberate. It seemed like she got hit by it by accident.
It did.
You know what I mean?
It did. It looked like she didn't summon them.
Yeah, it looked like it ran back to her.
Yeah, that's what I like that. Ran back. Because I know the Hashira came in, he sliced up every single ribbon. He freed every single person and he said, praise me and all that stuff. That was great. But I guess after that happened and the ribbon realized, holy shit, that's a Hashira. Because I think it did actually react like that. Like, oh fuck, that's a Hashira. What is this aura?
Yeah.
It ran back to the main body. So that does make sense. Ran back is a good way to describe that. I love the animation. This episode has phenomenal animation. Okay.
Yes, it does.
This episode, like, this is why I think Demon Slayer won Sunday. Because there were 3 shows on Sunday for me. And I think Demon Slayer won. And the animation is part of the reason why I will say Demon Slayer won Sunday. When she absorbs the rest of her body and it kind of starts going into the side of her face and her neck, I think that shit, it's creepy, but it's also cool as hell, isn't it?
It's fucking cool. She had a lot of sick animation moments. The one moment that I like a lot, there's a couple moments I like a lot, but there's
exactly
one
what you're about to say.
I don't know, because there's a lot. There's so many. I don't know how you could know, but there's one where she's like skating.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah,
when Tanjiro's on the ground and she's about to kill him.
Dude, when she skates up and and it slows down and it sees her like in the air. Dog, that shit is crazy. She's skating on the ribbons.
When that happened, I said to Gary, I hope that is her special in the fighting game when she's on when they do the next fighting game, when the next Demon Slayer fighting game comes out. I hope that her actual special is going to be that where you see her sliding sideways with the ribbons on the ground, scraping the ground. They're about to hit you. Because when Tanjiro was on the ground and she was coming towards him and they kind of did that sideways view where you see her in the air, that shot could be a screen. That could be my screensaver. That could be my wallpaper. It looks phenomenal. I love the animation on that. It's so crispy, so clean, so beautiful. And it really drives home that whole she's the beautiful demon and everything like that. Like everything she does is kind of beautiful. Although I will say that there were parts in this episode that I noticed they made her ugly. And I think that it's on purpose because she's so focused on beauty that they went out of their way to show her in these moments where she does look kind of ugly. But I'll talk about that a little bit as we go on.
On a quick side note, something I do like, because we were saying it's weird that Tanjiro didn't get smoked, that he's standing up. But something that I do like is that he has kind of like at the moment, like a Kaioken with sun breathing, and he can't really control it, takes a lot out of him. Something I like though is sun breathing hasn't won him like a single fight.
It hasn't.
He
would have died every single time he's used it so far.
Yeah. So I do like that even though sun breathing is letting him keep up a little bit, so far he's used it quite a few times and he hasn't won like a single time with it.
Yeah, I guess I forgot about Mugen Train, but I know he used it in Mugen Train to pretty much, isn't that how he kind of...
Yeah, that's how he beat, but luckily, or maybe not luckily, but at least in order for it to, he beat the lower one.
Yeah,
but he was still a lower moon,
and he also had help.
Yes,
it wasn't
with
just it wasn't just a 1v1 on that lower moon. It was actually the whole team pretty much doing shit to fuck it up. So his sun breathing coupled with another person was able to beat the Mugen Train demon. And
that demon also, he kind of made it clear that he had more trouble with Inosuke than Tanjiro.
Yes.
Because Tanjiro kept waking up, which was problematic, but he couldn't put Inosuke to sleep.
Yeah, one, he had a fucking actual boar mask on, and two, when he did put him to sleep, it was bad.
Yeah, so it was
the children that were inside his dreams got scared. They had to get the fuck out of there. It is scary in there. I just want to say, because we did a podcast on the first episode of the season, and then we kind of haven't really talked about the episodes in between, but one of the cool things in the episodes in between, it's kind of funny to me, I can't take him seriously, is Inosuke. Him with his actual face out all the time has been so funny looking to me because he's so beautiful. And
I love how pretty he is.
He's so pretty to the point where him as a geisha or a prostitute or whatever the fuck, it just works. And it's just because Tanjiro, everyone's like, yeah, we knew you were a guy.
Yep.
Like you don't look like a fucking woman at all. And that was funny to me when they kind of just said it blatantly. Whereas Inosuke looks like a woman. And so when he's all serious and all beefed up and his shirt's off, he's running around a brothel like a crazy person, and he's just beautiful in the face. I start to literally laugh or chuckle a little bit because of how weird it is that he looks like that.
Yeah. On that note, as the episodes go on, as Demon Slayer gets older, Inosuke grows on me more and more. I actually like Inosuke more as it goes on, whereas I like Zenitsu less and less, man. I just can't. He has moments where he's so cool, but but outside of those moments, his character is so unbearable.
So for me, this season, I'm definitely liking Inosuke more, and I didn't care for him in season 1 at all. And I liked Zenitsu a lot in season 1, and that's because one, the first time you ever see him do his lightning breathing or thunder breathing, the first time you see it is absolutely insane. I watched that scene probably 10 times over. That scene is iconic. And then the second time you see him do it, which is sixfold, was also insane.
Thunderclap and flash, sixfold.
The novelty is starting to run dry, though. Yeah. The whole I have one attack and then I can sixfold it is starting to not have the same new car smell, the new sneaker smell anymore. I'm starting to get a little bored of it. And like you said, his personality isn't exactly the most enticing thing. Now, I like Zenitsu. I think he's ridiculous. I think he's funny. But you already have funny characters like Inosuke, and honestly Tanjiro is funny too. So I don't really need him to also be funny, but when he's in his regular state and he's just like whiny and stuff, it does kind of, that's getting old. And then also him in his cool state is also running dry because it's one attack. Tanjiro's doing all kinds of shit. Broken bones, whatever that shit that
it was like burning bones or broken bones, like some bones. Crazy shit.
Yeah, like every time Tanjiro fights, fake rainbow, like he's doing all of this new shit. And we've never even seen him train for this stuff or anything, but he's just pulling it out. And so that keeps Tanjiro fresh, especially in this episode. Whereas Zenitsu needs
I need him. I'm sure it'll happen, or at least I hope.
I hope so too.
He needs a character arc. Like he really needs a character arc where he grows, because it's really starting to get grating, his character. Like there was times where during the episodes, I felt like I was forcing myself to watch them when it was like him, because
Yeah.
he was just like whining and bitching and crying, and I was like, oh my god, I get it.
Yeah. You're that character. So that's been, I agree. Inosuke has grown on me. Zenitsu has definitely fallen a little down on my radar of characters that I like.
Yeah, I
And
like
I
when
didn't expect that.
Inosuke was in the room in his weird ass pose where he looks like a lobster, and the lady walks in to yell at him, and then she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like trying to concentrate and shit. And then when he fucking dislocates all his bones, for, like
Oh
going the whole,
my god, that was so scary when he said that anywhere that my head can go, the rest of my body can, like a rat. I was so creeped out by that.
oh, this guy is too much.
Beast breathing is broken. I really want to see who taught him that, and if it's self-taught, that's also absurd. But beast breathing is actually really cool. It seems to be effective too, which is strange, because he's just in the wild. But I would like to see if someone did teach him that. Who's the Hashira or whatever of that? I know that there isn't a Hashira for it because we've seen all the Hashiras, but who's the strong guy? Who's the teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot. Go ahead.
So back to Daki, I guess. She's really fucking cool. After she absorbs the rest of herself, and she gets extremely excited because she realized that a Hashira is indeed in the area, and that will make Muzan pleased. Like, she is all about pleasing Michael Jackson.
Also, it was revealed that she's killed 7 Hashira so far.
Bro, I'm glad you brought that shit up because
I have been 7 Hashira.
I have been saying that in every single group chat I am involved in. I said, do y'all realize how many 7 is? 7 is so many. 7 of anything. If I said I ate 7 glizzies, or 7 hamburgers, or 7 wings, like anything, like not just like a drum, or
like she killed a whole Shichibukai,
like whole wing, like 7 of anything is a lot. Like 7 is so many. If I was like, oh, I slept with 7 people today, or I shot 7 people today, or I stabbed 7 people today, that's so many. She killed 7 Hashiras. I cannot deal. If you have 7 kids, could you imagine having 7 kids? 7 of anything is so many of something. So when I thought of her killing 7 Hashiras, I can't help but to think about the fate of this Sound Hashira because she's undefeated, clearly, and that is not okay. But she absorbs the rest of herself, and she gets all fucking horny for Uzui. And then a random person comes out of his house and starts complaining about the noise and them fighting outside.
Yeah,
and like, this is where shit goes south. She's standing on top of a building, and she's not even paying him any mind. Like, honestly, she doesn't even care. Tanjiro's the one who notices him for real, because she doesn't even care about people who are ugly. So that's like her whole thing. She tries not to even notice you.
She doesn't even eat them.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't even eat them.
Which is interesting because I know you noticed, Muzan also said, you've devoured scores of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, and she only
we saw her her like feeding place,
her lair,
where she had the ribbons, all those fucking skeletons. I mean, granted, it's been hundreds of years or whatever, but there's a lot of fucking skeletons in there.
Yeah, so she's found a lot of people attractive, or her standards are really low. But it is interesting that she only eats people who are attractive, and she still devours scores, which I think is 20s of humans. Like that, like it's so many. So and she kills 7 Hashiras. I assume she probably ate the Hashiras as well.
For sure.
I think that it's really interesting that this is a thing. She also likes to torture people. She's cool. She's sadistic as fuck. She's exactly what I would hope for from a demon. It's just to separate the whole human aspect of it, because Tanjiro does bring up humanity to her. And she's like, there's a whole montage about that shit. She's like, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I don't care about getting sick. Y'all die. I don't need money to eat. I don't need shelter. I don't need any of that. Like, I don't need anything. Like, I literally don't need anything. I don't have feelings for anything. I can regrow my body parts. She just went on this whole spiel about why she loves being a demon, and I forgot about my human self. That part that's so long ago. That's so old. Why the fuck are you even bringing that up? Why would I care about that?
That was when Tanjiro was in fucking beast mode, dude. There was blood leaking into his eyes and shit.
Oh my god. So yeah, I keep on glossing over.
He was in the zen.
The guy comes out, starts yelling at her and shit, yelling at her and Tanjiro. And Tanjiro's like, oh God, don't, like, please just go back in your house. Like, just, don't do this right now. He doesn't stop. She gets pissed off. And this is where I realized that, oh, okay, he actually can't go toe to toe with her. It's just that she was at half power, or whatever percentage of power she was missing. Obviously, she could have killed him in her base or I should say that weakened state that she was in. I think she would have won the fight regardless in that state, but she would have done it probably a lot quicker in her enhanced state for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when she does this attack, like all of her ribbon things lift up and they kind of sweep the street and it cuts every house on the left and the right. I mean, it just wipes out the entire street. Tanjiro blocks the one that's coming for him.
They show bodies of people.
Bro, the aftermath of that scene, I was not expecting it at all. The gore, there was so much gore. People were cut in half. There were fucking people missing parts of their heads. It was so brutal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was so, I bet in the manga it's way worse too, because I know the manga probably gets busy when it comes to the gore. But in anime, I know that they like, you know, they kind of they put dark shadows on stuff when it's really bad. Akame got killed vibes. You seen Akame got killed?
I have seen Akame got killed.
So you know how, it can get dark. But she wipes out a street, and when they show the aftermath, it is crazy the number of people she killed so quick. And that's when I realized, okay, he stands no chance. He stands no fucking chance against this girl. He also blocked her hit, and it cut like his whole shoulder.
Yeah, he got fucked up even though he blocked it. And he saved. It's crazy because he saved someone, but he couldn't save
the one guy who was complaining. Yeah. He lost his hand though.
Yeah, he did. He was like, you lost your hand, run, like you're alive.
He said, yeah, you'll survive, but wrap that shit up in some wire and get out of here. It's bad. That entire part really set the power scaling of like, oh, okay, she wasn't at full power, and with or without full power, she would beat Tanjiro 1v1 until, of course, she tries to take off. Now, I wasn't expecting this. I don't think anyone was. This is an anime only podcast. I do not read the manga for Attack on Titan or Demon Slayer because I actually enjoyed the surprises and seeing them animated. Because I think Demon Slayer, I don't think that manga could compare to the anime of Demon Slayer. Like I will say that without ever having read a single chapter of the manga, there's no fucking way the manga can compare to the anime because of how insane the music and the animation is. I don't give a fuck.
Animation is really good.
How nice it looks in the manga and all that other good stuff. There's no way you can convince me that it's better than the actual anime. So when
the music's good too. There's a song that they play a lot. It kind of sounds like a girl singing. I can't really reenact it.
Yeah, don't even try. Yeah, don't even try. I do know what you're talking about though.
That song reminds me so much of Nier Automata songs that I wonder if they have a similar composer because it just sounds so similar.
Interesting.
But it's really good.
So yeah, I mean, she's ridiculous. She severs all these people. She tries to run away, and Tanjiro gets pissed because he can't believe that she would just kill an entire street of people for no reason, really. Like no real reason, anyway. The disregard for human life, he calls it. Just that reckless abandon. I don't give a fuck.
He just wiped.
Because she didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like it didn't do anything for her to do that.
She was just annoyed.
She was just literally annoyed, and her disregard for like how precious life is. She doesn't see it that way. She's like, these people are ugly. They can all fucking die. Literally killed them all. There were a few people mourning their loved ones who didn't get absolutely severed, but for the most part, everyone got killed. And she goes to take off, and I love the way the scene was framed. She gets into that stance when you're about to like go fast. She kind of ducks down in a Sonic pose. And the second she goes to take off, and they even show her kind of like jut off a little bit too.
Yeah, it's like, ooh.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden,
she kicks off the air. She does the skywalk. And the second she does, my man Tanjiro, who was on the ground, on the street, and she's on top of a roof, he flash steps. I'm going to call it flash step from Bleach. He flash steps, and you just see him holding her leg.
Mm-hmm.
He has her leg in his hand. She actually tried to take off so fast that him grabbing her leg made her stomp into the roof and like damage the roof.
Not only that, but like what's also funny is she herself was so fast that she basically ripped her own leg off because Tanjiro grabbed her leg because her leg got ripped off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like, so it didn't get ripped off though. He cut it.
No, I know he stabbed into it. I don't think did he cut it or
Bro, I just watched it over before this episode of the podcast. I actually watched it in slow motion because I was wondering what the fuck happened to her leg. He's holding it.
I thought he's stabbed into it, like stabbed down into it to like anchor it.
Yeah.
And then she like ran so fast, like it ripped off.
So what ended up happening is he grabs her leg. She does this little twist kick thing and then he dodges. And when he dodges the kick that she tries to do at him, he slices the fucking leg off.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again. That's sick.
But here's the thing. I'm not like a lot of what happens in this episode happens so quickly that you can't possibly see it all. And we'll get to that because Nezuko, when she comes in, it happens so quick. I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at. So, but yeah, in this moment, he does slice her leg off literally with his blade, but it's so fast. And I think they want to like drive that point home of how fast he's moving, or rather, how slow everything else is moving to him.
Yeah. They do say that one point. He's when she has all of the ribbons coming at him, he's like, they're so slow.
I love it, bro. This episode is so good. He slices her leg off. She regrows it instantly, like an upper moon, typical upper moon fashion. We've seen it already with Akaza. So I was happy that that's like a consistent thing. Even though she's the weakest of the upper moons, she can still regrow her limbs just as fast. And she starts fighting him. And he's just slicing all of her shit. She does this crazy blood demon art. Like, she starts with that. She even says, "You're fucking dead, you idiot. You couldn't even deal with my base attacks. And now you're dealing with my blood demon art. These things are they have a speed of their, like, I'm in a different class." She says it herself, "My speed is in a different class now that I've absorbed all of my body parts." So she brings down these interweaved ribbons, and they're about to slice him, and he does that burning bones move. Man, oh man. That move, okay, it's really the way he says it. He goes, "Hinokami Kagura, burning bones." And he says it so calm. There's none of that, "Hinokami Kagura." Like, he doesn't do that. He says that shit so calm. And that freaked me out. "Hinokami Kagura." Just like the calmness in his
he was
voice.
in a trance. He was in a fucking trance.
That's the exact way I would describe that shit. My man was in a fucking trance, and it was not okay. He sliced her blood demon art, and she even mentioned how it burned and she can't regenerate like she normally would.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "What is this fucking burning sensation I'm feeling right now?" And his sword was completely on fire. Oh my God, it looks so good. It was like in slow motion as she was pulling away from him, and you seen all the blood marks from where he sliced her at.
Yep. It's going to be juicy. You know what this reminded me of? This is kind of backtracking a little bit, but
Go ahead.
We did an episode on episode 1 of this season, and we made a couple predictions that I think is kind of funny that I want to touch on real quick, and you just reminded me of one. So one was, we were talking about how Tanjiro's blade is black, and blah, blah, blah. He's not suited for water breathing. And they went into that again. I don't remember if it was this episode or the episode before, but how his blade got chipped. And Tanjiro's now saying it himself. He's like, "I'm not suited for water breathing. Like, I don't do this technique correctly. Like, I'm supposed to be doing sun breathing." So I really do think
I like
his blade is going to be changing colors or get a new blade or whatever. The second thing, which is kind of funny, is you and me sort of predicted that they were going to go undercover as girls, and we thought his wives.
We did, yeah. So it was like half truths, right? Because I thought that the wives were them, but I also thought that they were going to go undercover, obviously, as women. So that part did happen, but those women that we saw in that ending or whatever it was were not actually the three. They were not.
Yeah, they were actually. They were actually Tengo. I think his name's Tengo. Tengo's wives.
Yeah, so it's actually cool because they look like Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, though.
They do a little bit, yeah.
Like, they're kind of. It's interesting that they're almost mirrors of them, because the one has hair like Zenitsu.
Yeah.
And then one. So I don't know. I thought that was cool. Maybe just like something to throw readers off, but they do look kind of like female versions of the main three characters. Anyway, yeah, that is interesting that his sword, he's acknowledging now that water breathing may not be the thing for him. And I think that is such a cool little touch that they added in there, because most characters just try to force it constantly. But it does seem like he's given up on water breathing. Not probably entirely. For a lower demon, like the one he killed randomly in episode 1. Remember when episode 1 he just hunted down some spider demon?
Yeah.
I think he'll still just water breathing them, because apparently Hinokami Kagura takes an incredible strain on your body. So for lower level demons, he'll still use all of the, dead calm and all of that shit. But when it comes to the stuff that he's fighting now, it doesn't even make sense to bring out water breathing.
Dead calm, all right.
I know. I just kind of you saw me finesse that.
I don't think he can do dead calm.
You saw me finesse that in there.
He didn't even know that form existed when Giyu was like 11th form.
He said that.
Tanjiro was like 11.
He did say 11 with a question mark. He definitely was confused. Okay, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, so after he does that burning bones move, he starts slicing up. She's attacking him rapidly, and she even mentions how his speed is increased and how come those ferocious movements that he's doing normally they would destroy him, like his body.
Yeah.
But she mentions how his durability has gone up too, and he's not bleeding anymore. So as I was watching this the first time, a lot of things were off, but I couldn't quite tell because things were happening so fast. And as it's going, Tanjiro's slicing, going back and forth with her. She starts to run. She literally tries to run. She's like, fuck this. This guy, she's like, is he even human? She says that out loud. Like, is this guy even human? So she starts roof hopping, and Tanjiro keeps up with her insane speed. Like, my man is on it. When they get to the other roof or whatever, she grows 13 of her tentacle thingies, and she throws them all at him really, really quickly. And this is where he makes that comment about how if I dodge them, they'll wreak more havoc because they're on a new street now. They've moved.
Yep.
So he's like, if I dodge them, they'll wreak more havoc and everyone behind me. And he was like, my only choice is basically to slice them. He was like, there's 13 of them now too. He said, but I can't help but wonder why they're all moving so slow. And when he says that, I lost my shit. When he said they're moving so slow, and then you started seeing him in real time, slicing them the fuck up, he was moving so fast. And then she notices it. She's like, all of the things that he slapped away, he's put onto one side. And then he stabs his sword down into all 13 of them. And so she can't move anymore because when he tried to cut her neck off, it didn't work because she like really, really, really soft. And that makes sense too. Like if you try to cut a rubber band with a knife, you'd never be able to cut a rubber band at its full elasticity with a knife. But if you stretched it, then you would be able to cut it with a knife. So that I was like, okay, that does make sense. The whole sharpness versus something super soft like that. So that was kind of cool the way she dodged it. I also think it's funny that Tanjiro has really bad luck with cutting off necks of these demons.
Yo, he really does.
Because this is the second time that they pull some trick on my man. The first time
I think all the upper moons are going to have some fucking trick. I guess.
think so too. I think it's going to be a running theme because it just makes sense that you've been living for hundreds of years. Your neck obviously has never been cut off. Your neck has never been severed. So you need to have some kind of way to dodge when that inevitably does happen. Someone's going to try you at the neck. And They all seem to have a little get out of jail free card for that situation. So when Tanjiro realizes that, that's when he slaps all 13 of her ribbons to the side and he stabs them down, holds her in one place. And she's like, motherfucker, do you think that can like do, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it where you can cut me. She's like, but you think that's going to work? And then she straightens them out. Everything's happening so quick. I love how detailed the animation and everything is on these scenes. When she straightens them out, it looks really cool because they're all like wild at first and they're all off to the side, and she kind of straightens them and she yanks towards herself as though to pull them back to her because she's like, fuck you, I'm not letting you have my body over there. She tries to yank him, and you actually see Tanjiro, he has a little give. He kind of jerks forward. So she is really strong, of course. I mean, it's 13 of her body parts he's stabbing down. But even though he jerks forward, he's still staring at her eyes wide open and without wavering at all. He's just looking at her. She's like, it doesn't matter. You can't possibly cut me from that distance anyway. When she says that, my man does a cartwheel or a somersault, or I don't even know. He just flips in the air and fucking comes with the ferocity. I mean, he starts slicing with fire like a madman. That scene, I watched that scene probably 20 times before this episode. I kept rewinding it. It looks so good when he does that flip and he starts slicing. It's like his version of Omni Slash.
Shit was nasty.
He's just going off. He's just slicing, fire, slicing, fire, slicing, fire. And then he gets up to her and he's like, this time I can cut it. And he starts to get close to her neck. And of course, in typical shonen fashion, he gets, at the very last minute, he gets stopped in his godlike state by one of his younger siblings saying, brother, please breathe. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me and Gary at that time. Well, Gary has seen the whole thing because he read the manga, but it occurred to me at that moment, oh shit, that's why something seemed off. He has not been breathing this entire time. He's actually been doing some new technique, which they haven't named it yet. They haven't talked about it yet. This is literally the introduction of it, but they've been so focused on breathing. Even in the beginning of the episode, when she was about to do that cool ass sliding attack that we talked about, he says recovery breathing, and he does a little thing to get up from that. Breathing has been such an integral part of being a demon slayer. Every single Hashira, they're all known for their breathing techniques. Everyone has all these different types of breathing. Some people do the total concentration breathing all day, every day. In fact, all of them are. All the strongest ones are. So breathing is a really big component of what makes this shonen unique. And for once, we saw what happens when you don't breathe at all. He was holding his breath this entire time. And I had to rewind it and rewatch the episode to see he did not take a single breath from the time his eyes filled up with blood until when he first flashed up on top of the roof. He had not taken a breath at all.
I think that's why his eyes filled up with blood, because he wasn't breathing.
That is so
I don't
cool.
think it was because the damage he took. Because at first you look at it and you think it's because of the damage he took, which makes sense. But he really got hit in the shoulder.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really make sense why his eyes would fill up with blood. But what seemingly happened there, it's not outwardly said, is that he stopped breathing.
Yep.
And then his eyes started to go bloodshot. And then he went into this kind of crazed state. Something else that we haven't mentioned yet is while he was in that crazed state, there's a part where he's saying something, and as he's saying it, Daki starts to feel fear, and she's like, "Where have I heard this before?" And then she realizes she's having Muzan's memories, and we see flashbacks of seemingly the first sun breather talking to Muzan.
Yeah, that part is crazy to me because I'm glad you brought this up because I completely glossed over it, but the part where she says the cells remember is wild. First of all, someone's cells remembering something horrifying because they were scared. She said, my hands are trembling. Shaking. Yeah, she said, my fingers are trembling. And so whatever it was, it scared the fuck out of her. But the dude comes on hard as nails. He starts talking about, why is this amusing to you? I mean, talking to her like a child. Like the way I guess Muzan was being spoken to was like a kid.
Yeah, because as far as we know, and I don't think this is a jump, that was Muzan's fear.
Yes, that was Muzan's fear. Yeah,
and that guy that we saw was talking to Muzan.
Yes, and that is an ancestor of Tanjiro. Obviously, they also go over a little bit about the mark on his forehead, which he said I always believed that it came from the pot accident that I had, the hot pot. Yeah, but we know that that's obviously not true. He can believe that shit all he wants. Somebody could have told him that because he heard that his dad was born with it. And he said, I'm not a chosen one.
Yep.
And I've always been interested in the mark on his forehead. I always thought that, Tanjiro's going to end up being a demon or something like that, or a descendant of a demon, something corny that all shonens do. Oh, he's actually the strongest demon of all time, or something, the typical shonen thing I talk about all the time. Naruto's the strongest demon. Ichigo's the strongest demon. Asta from, Black Clover has the strongest demon. It's always like that. Jujutsu Kaisen, he has the strongest demon. It's always that. So I was expecting when I saw that mark on his head, I was like, oh God, the main character is going to be an inheritor of some kind of strong, overpowered demon that's going to save him every time he gets into a fight and is about to die. But so far, that hasn't been what's happening. He does have an ancestor, though, that looks very similar to his dad, has that kind of hairstyle and the clothing and everything. But the way he was talking to Muzan was like somebody chastising a child.
Mm-hmm. He was fucked up.
Yes. So it
was interesting because Daki herself, at least as I understood this theme, Daki wasn't necessarily scared, but she wasn't scared of Tanjiro, but she became scared because of the memories of Muzan. Literally, the words triggered it. Yeah.
She said, I've heard that before, but where? Because she hadn't actually heard it, but the cells in her body, the blood cells, that's a crazy concept. Fear in your blood. That is a crazy ass concept.
And, I can't wait for the eventual big flashback because on one end, we know Muzan is broken strong, right? But on the other end, we do know he's terrified of people saying his name.
Yep.
Right? He's terrified of people finding him.
Yep.
And specifically seemingly it all links back to this sun breather and the Hanafuda earrings.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I think that Demon Slayer is a good anime, despite the sketchy power scaling and the pacing. I think that the mystery is what's holding it up so high. I really do, because I had to figure out, why do I like this so much? And it is pretty basic overall. You know what I mean? Like from a storytelling perspective.
It's a simple show. It's a simple very simple series.
It's not trying to be deep or anything, but
it has heart. It does have heart.
Yes, it's, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it's very, very good. And I had to understand, like, what is it that's making me feel like this anime is so good? It's really because I'm so interested in the mystery of it all. I'm interested in the
Yeah.
mystery of who Muzan is, who Tanjiro's dad really was, or who his family really was. The whole aspect of sun breathing being the first form of breathing. Where did the demons originate from? Why is Nezuko the only survivor? And why, Jesus, this episode, why is she so fucking strong?
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, before that, I want to say another thing that I like about Demon Slayer is, and this is something that gets to me. Whenever a show does it and it doesn't feel super forced, I love like loyalty stories or like family stories and shit. Like for example, so Tanjiro and Nezuko I like a lot just because like their bond and
Yeah,
the way Tanjiro acts and Nezuko acts. And I also really like, even though he hasn't been here a lot, I really like the sound Hashira and the small little flashback we got with his three wives
I
and
do like that a lot.
how like they're kunoichis and ninjas and like their number one job is like, you know, all for the mission. If they die, they die. And
Yep.
he's like, you three don't die. He's like, you value your lives and then other people.
He said I shouldn't even be saying this, but
yeah,
I really did like that part. I was concerned about character development for the Hashira because so far the Hashiras haven't gotten too much character development except Shinobu. Shinobu got a lot.
Mhm.
Shinobu has a sister, and that whole despair thing, and how Tanjiro said, "I can kind of feel your despair." That
yeah,
was,
she's just like always angry. Like she's not actually as happy and cheery as she
yes,
pretends to
she's
be.
actually super pissed, and the despair that she's constantly feeling, and also I feel like she wants to die.
Mhm.
But I was a little worried about the Sound Hashira because the way they killed Rengoku was so quick, and now even that's starting to make sense to me now. They kill Rengoku kind of quick after introducing him, but they're constantly using his death over and
Yeah.
over again. So he's being more developed after his death
Yep.
as opposed to being developed before. I always compare his death to against Jiraiya's because I think Jiraiya's death is fantastic because he had a lot of development before he dies. You know who Jiraiya is. You know what he means to Naruto. You know what he means to Tsunade, right? Like she loved him even though they never, you know what I mean? Like there was a very clear, there's that love story there. He's also a great novelist and all these other things. A legendary Sanin. There's a lot of development. He's in the show for a very long time, but then he dies, and it really hits home because you know what he means to Naruto specifically. Then Rengoku, on the other hand, you are introduced to him at the Hashira Summit, and then he dies the very next time you see him. Like literally, that's the last episode of season 1, and then he dies in Mugen Train. And that always was jarring to me because I was like, well, I don't really feel anything for this guy because I didn't know this guy. And as this season has been going on post death, they've been constantly seeing his little brother, how he's reacting to it, how it hurt him when the crow landed and you saw the little brother crying, and then how the dad is pretending to be a hard ass about it. But then come to find out, he's actually crying too, alone, of course, because he's a man and he has to be all macho in front of people. But he offended Tanjiro. And in this episode, you saw him writing a letter apologizing. They've been really driving home Rengoku's storyline after his death. And I kind of like this reversal of seeing a character die and be developed after their death. Like they said his brother, the little brother was like, he was always so good at it. I tried it. I suck at it. I'm going to find a different way to help people. I can't be a swordsman. That's not for me, but he was a prodigy. So you're learning things about him after he died as opposed to beforehand. And it's cool the way they're using it. I like that.
It is. It's really interesting. And they even said, I don't remember the exact phrase, but when Tanjiro uses his sun breathing, he thinks of Rengoku. Maybe not all the time, but there was one part where he says like light up your soul or like burn on something like one of Rengoku's lines, and he said that to like amp himself up into doing sun breathing and stuff. So he sort of he remembers the instance on the train with Rengoku and how impressive he was and all the shit that he did and the sacrifice he made, and he's become sort of like a beacon for Tanjiro in his development of sun breathing.
Yeah. Naturally. I really like what they've done with Rengoku. I didn't like it at first, but now I see it. And it's not as just simple as, oh, we wanted to kill a strong character and then discard them. Because I also brought up too, when I had a conversation with one of my friends, but I said, after Jiraiya dies, that's kind of it for Jiraiya. They don't really bring Jiraiya up anymore. Like he's just kind of a thing of the past for the rest of Shippuden. It doesn't really go after that. It pretty much goes into the war arc. And that's like, Jiraiya's not really brought up again. So
yeah, the rap for him.
Yeah, outside of them saying that we couldn't resurrect him, basically. But yes, Jiraiya's done after he dies, whereas Rengoku is not.
Yeah, he's got development post-death, and then So all that to say, the sound Hashira, although not a ton, I do like the characterization he's got.
Yep.
He's super flashy and stuff, but it seems as though, based on the flashback and everything, because you see him and he seems a little despondent in the opening. Like if you watch the opening scenes and in the flashback, where he has like his little Naruto ninja band on and all this other shit. But he's from a ninja clan, and obviously they are very about death and stealth and all this other shit. And so it's kind of, I wonder if he's inspired by Naruto. He's like outwardly being flashy and saying he's going against like the being in the shadows ninja and like not valuing life and all this other shit.
That actually is a good parallel you just drew there. I didn't think about him in Naruto, but Naruto also is pretty flashy. He wears an orange jumpsuit. It's just to start off with. He's fucking wearing orange and he's a ninja. That's just ridiculous. So Naruto is pretty flashy overall. He's also like the number one knucklehead ninja. He's not exactly the most quiet like this guy. This guy is pretty damn like silent and all that. But as far as the way he treats his wives, Naruto has that same feel to him, that I'm here now and you're safe now because I'm here. It's that All Might feel too. Like Naruto, especially like adult Naruto, and even young Naruto had it too. But especially adult Naruto. Adult Naruto is about that life. That whole I'm here now.
That shit gets me, yo.
I'm the Kage.
I'm here, All Might.
Yep.
Yeah, that shit gets me.
It right in the feels, right? You feel it. That I'm here now thing. He did that, and it is something to be said about characters who just have that finesse, that energy, that aura of you're okay now. You don't have to worry just because I'm here.
Yeah. So that shit gets me. I like this guy a lot. He's pretty dope.
Yeah. So Tanjiro collapses in front of Daki, and she's excited, obviously. She says, I'm going to kill you now. You fucked up. You're a terrible human. This is as much as you could accomplish. The typical shit talking that she should not be doing. She should have at least severed his bottom half or something. Before speaking a single word, I would have cut something off. I would have cut maybe both his hands off, both his arms.
Nah, she needed the flex.
She just had to start talking, and as she's doing her little monologue, out of nowhere, the person who I literally forgot about, Nezuko just fucking literally kicks her head off. And it happened so fast. And because of the way the episode was directed, where you saw Uzui with the boys heading towards the demon.
I
assumed because also how fast it happened. I was like, oh, that, and they even Zenitsu and Inosuke, well, mainly Inosuke, mentioned how fast he is. Yep. So he was going to get there first always anyway. And he doesn't make a sound, so it would make sense that she didn't hear him coming up behind her like that. But she gets her head kicked off, and it's not even the Hashira. It's fucking Nezuko of all people. And
she's snapping.
She is pissed. She's like growling really, really hard. Tanjiro is still conscious at first, but then he literally collapses. He was coughing up blood. It had a really bad, after the whole brother, please breathe thing. Once he realized that he hasn't been breathing and he starts to try, it hurts tremendously from what you can see. And he collapses. He literally passes out. And Nezuko, she gets extremely angry after kicking the demon away, kicking the demon's head off. And the demon recalls, Daki recalls that Muzan wanted her specifically. He told her that there is a demon that I need you to get for me, a demon that slipped my grasp. And he describes exactly what Nezuko's wearing, like the exact outfit, the checkered, wrapping and everything, and her kimono. He describes it, and he's like, she escaped my grasp, just like Tamayo. Yep. And I was like, who the fuck is Tamayo? And then I remembered that it's that doctor demon.
Yep.
The only other demon or demons that were good in the show besides Nezuko, and also since like they're pretty intelligent, because Nezuko, as I can tell right now, she still has not been capable of actual speech outside of the one line where she did her blood demon art. But again, I don't really know if she actually said that, or if that was like an internal thought type of thing. I don't know what that was. That could be an anime only thing. And the manga, it probably just says blood demon art, whatever. And that's just it. I don't know if it's actually a bubble coming out of her mouth, or if it's even a bubble that's insinuating that it's in her head. But whatever the case may be, she still hasn't spoken anything outside of that one little part. And so Muzan is really interested in Nezuko. And we don't really know why, because technically if he's the person that killed the whole family, and also turned her into a demon, then there's so many questions from that.
Yeah, it's interesting because we assume that Muzan is the one that made her a demon, right?
Yes.
But like, is he? I don't know. As far as I understand, any of the demons
the
right?
moons.
Because like Rui was able to make people
Yeah,
demons,
you're
as
only
far
allowed
as I
to if
understand.
you're only allowed to share his blood if you are in the 12 moons.
So it could have been one of the other moons, maybe. So like we don't really know who did it, but regardless of who did it, like what are the circumstances? Why did they slaughter the whole family? Because they didn't eat the whole family, right? They
Right.
slaughtered the family and then turned Nezuko into a demon for some reason,
For
and
some
then they
reason.
just left.
Yes. Yeah, that has been bugging me for a while. And one, we don't know if Muzan did it, but did you notice that they did little flashbacks that from Nezuko's perspective actually of the slaughter? Like while she was screaming and growling or whatever you want to call it, while that was happening, they started showing these little flashes where you saw her family literally being killed from her eyes.
Yep.
And that was really interesting to me. That's the first time you really got to see something like that. So she was consciously watching that happen. She remembers it. She got
Yeah.
really, really pissed off. Like that, it seemed like that made her angry because I feel like they showed that, and then she started really getting pissed, and that's when she started to kind of grow. They started
Yeah.
showing the
Yeah.
hair and everything. She started to
She
grow.
grows into like
You know,
I'm gonna call it her full demon form.
she's definitely an adult. Just judging off the boobs that they gave her, they like really, really emphasized them in this whole part. Like they were so emphasized. They got Matsumoto from Bleach big. They got really
Yeah.
big.
Her boobs got bigger.
She
She
got
got
taller.
taller.
Yep.
She has a horn.
She
And
has a
then she
horn.
has like these vines on her body. And
Yes,
this is something I find interesting. Did you ever watch or read Sayuki?
I did actually.
So Sayuki, if you guys don't know, it's a manga. There's an anime for it. The anime's kind of low budget, but overall I like it, and the manga's pretty good
Same.
too.
I actually liked the anime too. I
Um,
thought that the banter between the four of them was always cool.
yeah, it's really, really good. If you've never read it or watched it, you should. I'm gonna give a small spoiler, but there's a lot to it. You know, but whatever. Anyway, but there's a character named Cho Hakai, and he is, as far as we know, like a half demon or whatever. Things happen, etc., etc. I won't go into everything that happens, but when they show his full demon form, it looks the same as Nezuko. It has
Yeah.
like these vines all across his body, and I've only to my memory, seen it that one time on Hakai, and I always thought it looked really cool. Had these vines on his skin, and then I
Yeah.
saw it with Nezuko, but both relating to a demon, and it's both someone who was a human that became a demon. I just wonder if there's some Japanese folklore that has to do with like that aesthetic and a person becoming a demon.
Yeah, and also the one horn. And I also
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like I
yeah.
don't know why, but something about the moon just kind of seems to be related to Nezuko. They keep showing the moon in the background of her. I noticed when she did her blood demon art, that was like a thing in the shot. And then just now on the roof when she's pissed, it's kind of like this. I mean, granted, they're always going to be fighting demons at night, but it just seems like I don't know something about the vines and the one horn, maybe the moon, is just all thematic there. I really that whole part. I mean, her seeing the slaughter or us seeing it from her perspective, but not seeing who did it.
Yeah.
The other question that arose from that for me was we've seen Muzan turn humans for no reason, or at least brutalize them with his blood. We've seen him in the alleyway. He just walked into a random group of humans and started killing them because they, started with him. But he started killing them, and one of them he just started injecting his blood into them, and he gave them too much, and it kills them.
Yep.
Nezuko, however, during this fight with Daki slices off her limbs because Nezuko comes in with the classic kick that she uses on everybody. She used it on the girl with the balls early in the show, and her fucking leg got blown off by that. And then the next time she kicked it, she was actually able to kick the ball away. So Nezuko gets strong immediately. That's been a common theme. We just have to accept that that's what it is. She always gets stronger. And in the moment that she was weaker, like she was just weak, that attack just worked, and now it doesn't anymore. So she gets her limbs.
She's got a weird power overall. Like the fact that I don't know if all of the demons can do this because now that I was just about to say it, and now that I think about it, Muzan does the same thing. Muzan can change his body type, his gender, everything.
Yep.
We haven't seen any other demon really do that except Nezuko. She doesn't change her gender, but we see her go from like a fucking baby,
Yes,
to like a teenager,
and at
to
first
a
I thought it was
adult.
just like some nonsense where it's like an anime thing that she becomes chibi, but it's not. She's actually becoming a chibi person.
Yeah, she becomes really small to like sit in the box, and she's like, but then she can become a normal size,
And she's an adult in this episode. That is an adult.
she's a full grown adult in this episode. So it's interesting because we haven't seen any demon other than Muzan be able to actively change their body type outside of a transformation, right? Like this girl had a transformation.
Yeah, Daki didn't look when she was in her human form. She looked like a human, right? Like she looked like every other human. She didn't have the shit that's on her face, like the butterflies or whatever, the flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
whatever's on her face. She has like markings and stuff on her, but she didn't have that. And Akaza has like he's a basketball basically. I saw a really funny meme it showed Daki and Muzan, and it was like how Muzan treats Daki, and it was her laying on his lap, all caressing and everything like that. And then it was how he treats Akaza, and it's literally said, "You fucking basketball." And I started dying because I looked at it. At first, I didn't understand. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I looked at his face and I saw the lines, and I was like, "Oh God, he does look like a basketball." So yeah, we haven't seen any demon transform to this degree. We've seen him go like, "Oh, I have a human mode, and now I'm evil." But we haven't seen anything like this where they get small and big or adult and young. But you are right. Muzan is the only person that we've seen who can completely manipulate, and they did say that's like a thing, like being able to completely shape your aura to the point where you are unrecognizable to everyone. It's not like because when we're watching the anime, right? We see him in these other forms, but we know it's him because we're the viewer. But the way they make it sound in this verse is that when he is in one of these forms, he is unrecognizable to literally everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen him become like a 10-year-old. We've seen him become like a geisha girl.
Yep.
And we saw him be Michael Jackson.
Yep. And now, for the first time this season, we saw him go back to a form. He went back to the Michael Jackson one. Because I was wondering if he was going to appear as like an older person next, like an elderly person. But
yeah, this seems like this is his true form, or at least his most preferred form.
Yeah, I would say, because also when I think about him as a villain, I do think of the Michael Jackson one being the main one.
Like that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Nezuko, she has like, quite a lot of body control, and now she's like an adult, and I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that she's also kind of lost her mind a bit because she grew the horn. Like, she seems like she's on edge. Like,
she does seem off.
She doesn't, like, I don't think she so she bit. This is the first, like, she bit her gag off. Yeah. So she might be, I don't know. There might be some shit happening next episode.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. She completely lost control there. And that is a bit scary. I also wonder if her and Tanjiro's strength is linked in any kind of way, because why is she so strong all of a sudden? Like, he just got an immense power up, and then she got an immense power up right there.
Yeah.
They both happened at the exact same time. And it almost seems like, so the first time he did Hinokami Kagura, she unlocked Blood Demon Art Exploding Blood.
Yep.
So to me, every time Tanjiro gets stronger, Nezuko gets stronger right behind him.
Yeah, they do seem linked. And they also had that little flashback that I thought was kind of cute, and one of those things that also kind of got to me, where it's their little brother, and the little brother's talking about both Nezuko and Tanjiro, about how they get into trouble and like they defend people, and how something happened in the city and Nezuko like yelled at the guy, and then the little brother was saying like I was hoping adults were there, blah blah blah, and basically he just says
he said that both of you are really gentle people, but when you get mad, it's scary.
It's scary. And then he was like, it's also scary because, like, you guys that care so much about other people, you don't think about yourselves.
Yep.
And you don't think about the damage you're doing to yourself and whatever. And, that got to me a little bit, but...
yeah, they're very selfless.
Nezuko is, she does seem linked to Tanjiro in her power-ups.
Yeah, coincidentally, they've always happened behind him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. She grew a horn out of nowhere.
The horn came out of nowhere. So Daki cuts off her limbs, and she immediately grows them back. In fact, Daki cuts her entire torso, arms, and legs off.
Yep.
And she like kind of puts them in different parts of the place they're fighting in. And when Nezuko starts to regenerate her leg, Daki's staring at her. She's like, you're a terrible demon. You're weak. I could tell by looking at you that you haven't really devoured many humans. So it'll take you a long time to regenerate. Mm-hmm. And then as the dust clears, she notices that Nezuko is standing on one leg and the other leg is coming back. And she says, wait a second. How the fuck is her leg back? Then she's like, wait, even worse than that. How is she standing? I cut her entire torso off. Like, she should have nothing from the waist down.
She comments that her regeneration seems to be on par with an upper demon.
Yes. I don't even think she said seems. She said that is upper moon caliber.
Yeah.
So that is, I mean, we know it's true because it's funny. Nezuko does the exact same thing that Akaza did when Rengoku first cut him. He puts the arm out, like kind of extends it a little bit, and then just grows it. and it has that same quickness and that same like oomph to it. It has that oomph.
Yeah.
She grows it back, and that's when I think that's when Daki gets really scared. 'Cause she says, "What is this aura? What is this cruelty?"
Mm.
And she's intimidated by it. And then, Nezuko comes at her with another kick, and she says, "That same, that same kick. That's all you got, basically." And she cuts her up again. And this time, this scene was confusing to me because I didn't know what was going on. I thought that Nezuko was doing genjutsu.
This scene is sick.
I thought Nezuko was doing genjutsu because the first time she got cut on top of the roof, it looked like there was like some flickering of the body parts. They kind of like do this flicker effect. And so when they got cut again at the end, that same flicker thing happened, but then you see her and she's whole. And so for me, I was very, very, very confused on what I was watching. I was like, is Nezuko doing some kind of illusion shit? Because that's out of control. But apparently, the way it's supposed to be interpreted is that she's actually regrowing that fast that it's not even really visible to see the limbs regrow.
Yeah, she fucking, like, she goes in for a kick, gets her leg cut off, and then her leg regrows in an instant, and, like, I feel like with the force of the regrow,
she stomps into Daki.
She stomps Daki through.
Yes, like, and then looks down at her.
Through.
Yeah, it's bad. And then she looks down at her in this like disdain. She looks very, very just disgusted by Daki. And the episode goes off. That episode was amazing. Honestly.
What's scary though is she's broken, but we know the Sound Hashira is like about to be there.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Here's the thing. Daki's not done, right?
No, not at all.
She's not even close to done.
No.
Which is scary. Because Tanjiro's kind of like out of commission. I'm sure he'll get back up at some point.
But not in this fight. He's done for this fight.
And yeah, Nezuko seems to be going off, and now like Inosuke and Zenitsu are showing up, and then we also, have the Sound Hashira. So some shit is going down.
Yeah, I'm wondering because Nezuko is now the scariest demon in the area. And because of the way she bit that gag, like you said, I want to assume that she is probably not in her normal right state of mind, whatever that may mean for her.
That's what it seems like.
And with Tanjiro being out, there's no one to plead the case that, she's cool. Like he already, obviously, the Sound Hashira, he knows already that until she hurts a human, she's fine. She's protected.
Mm-hmm.
If she ever hurts a human or ever tries to, consume a human in any way, they're allowed to kill her. But until she does that, she should be off limits. I don't know if he's going to hold true to that. I don't know if Nezuko is going to attack him. We have to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
But right now, Daki is screwed, and maybe what will happen is the Sound Hashira will show up. Nezuko and the Sound Hashira will get into it, and then Daki will escape or something. I can see that happening. I can see something like that happening.
I could see maybe, in terms of Nezuko, maybe she goes to attack a human, but on one end, like her inner self finally fights it back. Or I could even see Zenitsu having a moment and Zenitsu bringing her back.
Okay,
which
I can
would
see
be
that too,
an interesting moment for Zenitsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, so far this arc has been pretty cool. Like I'd say my only complaint is, and this is just an overall Demon Slayer complaint, is that sometimes things just kind of happen a little too fast. Where like from 1 minute you're here, and the next minute you're 4 months later in the middle of action, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yep. And honestly, I agree with that, and I've grown to just be like, you know what, that's what this anime is. It's not going to stop. That's just how it's presenting itself.
It moves very fast. There's not much downtime. Even when there's downtime, like for example, you said, the first episode, the 40-minute episode was like pretty hype, and then there was some downtime. But even then, the downtime was like an episode, and then right after that, like I didn't expect them to find the demon. Where we're at now, I didn't expect to happen so quickly.
Me either.
You know what I mean?
We're 6 episodes in.
We're already at basically, like they're fighting the fucking Upper Moon demon right now. I did not think we'd be here already.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and she's getting bodied. Like she's in a bad spot. I feel like Nezuko is blatantly stronger. She's upper level, and that. Something I wanted to say earlier, if Muzan did turn Nezuko, right, if he gave her his blood, and that's what made her this strong, why the fuck did he give her so much? Because the only way that she could be upper level is if he gave her upper level amounts. We know that to become upper level, you have to either devour that many humans, or he has to give you that much blood. That's the only way that can happen. Yeah. You can't just like, you're not born upper level. You know what I mean? Like that's not how that works. So Nezuko, we know, has never consumed a human being.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. the more we're talking about it, I kind of think there's just a traitor. I think there's I think one of the upper moons is just a traitor
I never considered that.
because that we're talking about it. I'm thinking about it. I don't think Muzan is the one that slaughtered the family and gave her the blood because Muzan was because to me maybe he didn't know at all, but when he saw Tanjiro for the first time in the city and he saw the Hanafuda earrings, he was like shocked, confused, etc.
Yeah,
Um,
he was actually.
and so anyway, my point is, I feel like what happened with Tanjiro almost feels intentional. The slaughtering of the family and then Nezuko being transformed and all this other. I feel like if it was Muzan, he would have known of Tanjiro, known of the Hanafuda earrings. You know, like it would be an intentional attack. Also, he's an intelligent person. Obviously, he knows of sun breathing and the earrings mean something. So I just think if it was him there and he found them or whatever, then he would have gotten Tanjiro as well, right? He wouldn't have left him there. Like, I don't think he accidentally showed up there. So anyway, to what I'm trying to say is, I think maybe there's a traitor among his upper demons, and that demon knows Muzan's history or whatever, and he specifically went there knowing who Tanjiro is, knowing about sun breathing. Like, maybe he orchestrated some of this. Just because I agree. Look, it doesn't make sense. What we're having now, to me, doesn't make sense that Muzan was the one that created Nezuko.
Right.
Because also the fact that Nezuko isn't in control. Like the thing with the other girl, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I feel like she went through a process of breaking Muzan's control. Whereas Nezuko just was never under Muzan's control. He was never able to track her. He can't control her, nothing. So I don't know. I think it's weird. I think maybe I don't know. Just in this moment, the theory hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, we only have so much to go on. We're anime only. We have a lot of theories, so I really don't know. It's so confusing. It's very confusing, but that's what makes this show good to me is the mystery. Yeah. I like the mystery of it, and that's the reason why I think the show is good. I mean,
mark it here, folks. I'm thinking there's a traitor in Muzan's mist that can create demons, and I don't think Muzan's the one that created Nezuko.
Interesting.
And
all right.
We'll see where that.
So that's a recap of the latest episode of Demon Slayer. We're not going to do an episode on every single episode of Demon Slayer, but
I think we should just do the next when it finishes.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens.
Well, that's the thing. So if next episode is also insane, then we probably just have to talk about it again, honestly. If like this Sunday episode, because I kind of assume this Sunday episode might be insane again. Just because we haven't seen the Sound Hashira actually fight.
Yeah, the Sound Hashira is going to start schmooving at some point.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen, but we're basically, because Kenny's not always current, but if some shit happens that starts trending, like this episode was trending, if I see all down my timelines everywhere and Twitter and stuff is like Demon Slayer, then like that's when we all cover it. But yeah, that episode was nice. It was only episode 6, so we got some more. And I guess we could do a quick recap of Attack on Titan. Not much really happened. So this will take
just episode 1.
Yeah, this
episode 1 of the final season, part 2.
Picked up right where it left off.
Yeah, it did. What's interesting is that it really isn't a separate season, because even on Hulu and Crunchyroll, it's not listed as final season part 2. It's episode 17.
Yep.
Like it's final season episode 17. So it just there's not a fucking recap.
Nope.
Like it's just the next episode.
Literally, the last episode before this one was, him transforming into his Titan form. And then this one starts off with that's still happening. And I guess the big part is that Marley has invaded Paradise Island. And it's only been
they came with a squad.
And it's been less than a month since the attack on Marley. So no one expected them to be able to prepare such an incredible amount of soldiers and firepower in such a short time, literally less than a month. That's actually kind of wild when you think about it, like the military might. So
I like what Aaron said. Aaron, because they told Aaron, like, they were like, Aaron, retreat. And then he just goes forward, and you hear it in his head. He's like, only Reiner could have convinced them to do something so stupid.
Yes.
And then you see Reiner coming down, and like Aaron and Reiner facing off. That shit was tight.
Yeah. I also love when it comes to Aaron and Reiner has never been able to beat Aaron 1-on-1. He just can't. And I love that that's consistent in this episode as well. Reiner gets his ass beat. If this was a 1-on-1 fight, Reiner would have gotten killed very easily.
Yes. There was a part where he straight like punched his whole
Yeah.
fucking jaw
He dipped
configuration.
Reiner's
Like,
attack and punched. He like dipped an uppercut and punched down at Reiner
yeah,
with the
yeah.
fucking crystallized hands and took off half his face. I was like, okay, so this is the same as it's always been. And then Reiner did it like a tackle, and then he's about to punch Aaron. Aaron just kicked him off of him like easily,
Yep.
and then got back up. It's very clear that every time they're in Titan form, Aaron wins against the Armor Titan. What I'm really surprised about is that when you look at Reiner and Aaron in human form, you would never think that Aaron beats this guy's ass every single time they fight.
Never.
Reiner looks like he would beat the shit out of little ass Aaron. Like, it's just so weird to me that when they're in Titan form, Aaron gets the best of him every single time.
I mean, even in Titan form, Reiner's Titan looks.
It does. You're
looks
right.
better.
It does look better. It looks like Iron Man. It looks way more intense. Like if someone who's never seen Attack on Titan saw those two things and said, "Who's stronger? Do you think?" They would look at the armor one and be like, "That one." If they're not trying to be, they're not trying to be all weird about it and be like, "Oh, well, because you're asking, it must be that one." You know what I mean? Like if they just say based on looks, based on what it looks like, which one of these Titans do you think is like stronger? It would definitely be the Armor Titan.
I think 9 times out of 10.
Yes, but for whatever reason, the Attack Titan just whoops ass, and so Reiner gets beat up. But then here comes Galliard as the Jaw Titan, and he tries to come up from behind.
And even 2-on-1, they ain't got the smoke.
Yeah,
but 2-on-1, they don't.
2-on-1, they would have also gotten killed.
If they're still losing.
Yes.
After he gets shot in the fucking head by a cannon, they still can't touch him.
If it were 1v2, they would absolutely get wrecked. They would absolutely get wrecked. We finally see Eren using the Warhammer Titan. I think that's really cool the way he uses it. And Eren is smart, and I love the way he used it because Galliard went right for the nape, and he started growing fucking spikes from the back to the nape, like immediately. I just think that is so clever. And then obviously Galliard, we already know, whatever he's made out of is strong enough to break through that crystal shit. So he breaks the spikes that Eren creates to protect himself, and he kicks Eren in the back, and then Reiner's right there to grab Eren by the face, and he's like, you by yourself, you're not that much of a threat, which is Cap. And the people who are watching it, the one black guy in the show, and then Yelena, they're watching it and they're terrified because
they didn't have to give the one black guy the hardest name ever. His name is not. It's like Onbantnukun or something. Like it is nonsense.
Jesus, that shit is bad.
I can't say his name.
I won't even try to say it. Maybe from now on, I'll just call him O. Because it is really hard to say for me. Sorry.
It's hard to say. I don't think it's hard to say for anyone. Yeah. Like it's not a word I think an English speaking person can say naturally.
Yeah, it's like I don't even try at this point. I'm just call him O. But yeah, O and Yelena are terrified. And so O decides to just run. He just runs away, and he runs to the prisoners that they have, which happens to be Armin and Mikasa, Connie, and all, the typical team.
Yep.
The Survey Corps people that we all know from this entire show. He runs to them. He pleads his case about how, look, Eren is fighting right now. Marley's here. There's a lot of shit going on. They've invaded. Eren needs your help. And they're like, why the fuck should we? Connie gets really mad, and I don't blame him. He says, I've been betrayed by Reiner, Bertholdt, Eren, literally everybody. He names 4 people. He's like, every single person that
you guys, like the guy, you guys.
Yes. He's like, every single person that I've ever trusted and followed behind has betrayed me. So why the fuck should I listen to you now? I'm literally in prison right now. Like, I'm literally a prisoner right now. You're talking about you need my help. Like, get the fuck out of here. So that was a very real and human emotion to have. Like, I'm done with this shit. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't know who's who. I don't know what's what. But then Armin, the voice of reason, he comes in. He's like, listen, I do think Eren is actually still on our side. I don't believe that Eren is this horrible person. And then he asked Mikasa, like, do you want to help Eren? And she's like, I do, but I can't help but to think about what he said to me, which was that these aren't even my own. This isn't my own will that I want to protect him, that I want to help him. This is actually the Ackerman blood flowing through my body that is forcing me to do it. And, Armin says, I think that he was lying about that, but Armin is just making shit up as he goes, I feel like. Because he said, I think Eren just made that up on the spot. I'm like, Armin, you made that up on the spot. Aaron is telling the truth. You know that the Ackerman shit is real. So that that whole thing is pretty interesting. But I guess speaking of Ackermans, we kind of glossed over the opening of the episode. Is
Yeah, the episode opens with Levi just looking cooked.
Levi is cooked, and this is the worst we've seen him. We've seen Levi injured before a couple times. He broke his foot to save because Mikasa made an error against a female Titan. We saw him break his foot, and we've seen him a little injured, but we've never seen him like he looked dead. So when the episode opened and they showed literally fingers, they were just bloody fingers detached from a human body, right? Like just fingers. And I was staring at that like, okay, I hope that's not whose I think it is. But when they showed him, he looks so much worse than I expected. He literally has a gigantic gash from the top of his head to the bottom of his head. Like a gash going through an eye, through his face. It's huge. It's thick. It's
and his
huge.
Skin is like gray.
His skin is gray, so he's been bleeding. And also he's splintered. There's wood literally impaled all over his body. His face has literally 3 pieces of wood impaled into it. He looks terrible.
I don't know how they're gonna make
how.
the argument of him not being dead.
Okay, you're saying that. Okay, I was going to say I know how they're going to resurrect him. I just don't know. I don't know anything about how he's still alive.
He's dead.
Yes.
Like I was like, he's fucking dead. And when Hanji came up and said that he was dead, for half a second I was like, holy shit. And then
me too.
Yeah, I was like, he's really fucking dead. But then as the scene went on,
you realize what it was. It's a ruse.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead. And then especially when she escaped with his body, like he's
so the first thing is
not
that
dead, but how?
The way they drew him, he looks like he should be dead by all rights. There's no reason for him to still be alive. I think that if they wanted him to be alive, they shouldn't have shown him in that condition. I think that was a bit overboard. He looks like a dead body. There's no life in his eyes. His skin is a different color. The gash in his face, the splinters all over his body. He looks really bad. The missing fingers, everything. I'm sure there's shit in the manga that they didn't even show in this episode because it's probably too gory, but I imagine that his body is in a terrible condition. Not a fighting condition for the rest of the season, at least. And the only thing I can think of is that he's going to become a Titan and then he'll eat somebody and he'll become a human again and all that stuff. That's the only way that he could be saved, in my opinion, is if he gets injected with the serum.
That's the only way he does anything for the rest of this arc.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if they don't turn him to a Titan, then he's got to be out of commission for the rest of the arc. Yes. And when the series is done and there's a 5-year flash forward, we'll see him, in
a wheelchair. Yep. See, look at us. Look at us. Who knew? He'll get the Guy Sensei treatment. It's given Guy, right? Guy at the end of Naruto was considered one of the strongest shinobi, opening all 8 gates. But then you see what it cost him. He pretty much ends up in a wheelchair in Boruto. So Levi may end up that way, or they'll turn him into a Titan, and then he'll eat someone who has an actual one of the 9. He'll become human again, and then we'll see the scariest shit we have ever seen in the entire series, which is a person who is deadly as a human and deadly as a Titan. Now, Annie, she was somewhat of both, but not nearly as deadly as Levi. I don't think that anybody would question Annie versus Levi in human form. It's not even close. She couldn't beat him in Titan form. So
I wonder what would happen, because Annie is the female Titan. I wonder if a male or Levi. So I was thinking, I wonder who would Levi eat? Like, who would they set up for Levi to eat? And then I was like, they do have Annie. She is in the crystal, but they have the Jaw Titan now.
Yep. But, she's in a crystal, and they haven't done anything with her since season 1.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be some wrap up to Annie.
There has to be. Even if it's Levi eating her, which I wouldn't be mad about, but him being the female Titan would be weird. But I have wondered, and I've actually asked this question last season when they showed Armin, and he's fond of her now because he has Bertholdt's memories. Mm-hmm. So he's been fond of Annie, and they said that he spends a lot of his time in that room with her talking and shit. So I started thinking then, wait, the female Titan, there's not many females, and I don't see Mikasa becoming a Titan anytime soon. So who the fuck would end up inheriting that Titan? Because they have to pass it on. It's going to die. She's been a Titan as long as Reiner. So they don't have, her and Reiner don't have very long.
But we talked about this when we did our first Attack on Titan episode. I mentioned that when they showed her, she didn't age. And I wonder if she's not aging. I wonder if like the 17 years or what I forget what the time period is.
13.
I wonder if she's currently not undergoing that. Like I wonder because she's in case she has not aged. She's not old. She's not like an adult now.
That is a bit unfair. If that's the case, I'm gonna say that that's not the case. But that would be very interesting if she literally is like frozen in time because she's in that crystal. That would be so broken.
Yeah, I'm only thinking just because she still looks like however old she was, 17.
And I mean that makes sense though that she looks the same and everything because she has no bodily functions right now. She's not peeing or any eating or you know what I mean. Like she's not assumed her heart isn't beating either because or maybe at a very 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 like spiders can do this thing where they pretty much seem dead. They don't even really have a pulse. So I don't know if she's doing some shit like that. But from what we understand, none of the natural things that humans have to do are she's not undergoing any of them while she's been, and it's been years. It's been 4 years.
Yep.
So she doesn't eat water because no one has been able to get to her. She doesn't eat water. She doesn't eat food.
Yeah, she's just been in this crystal. Like,
and any human that doesn't have water or food for 4 years would obviously just perish. Like she'd melt away, but she doesn't look like she's remotely melting away or anything.
Yeah, she looks like the day it happened. Yep. So it's interesting.
So that's why I wonder. You might be right, but
yeah,
because one of my questions that I posed was, when you get a new Titan, Eren has 3 of them. When you get a new one, does that restart your clock? Does that add to it? Is it cumulative? Do you go, oh, I get 13 years on the first Titan. I eat another person that's a Titan. I get 26. Yeah. I get 39. I get 52. How does it work when you can? He has 3 Titans in him, but I'm assuming it's 13 from your first one only because I don't think the show has enough time with 15 episodes left or however many there are to go in. Maybe it doesn't have enough time to go into like all of that plot where Eren gets to live for 30 years or some shit because he has 3 Titans.
I agree. I think it's like 13 from your first one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But like these are mysteries that like these are questions that could be answered. You know what I mean? Like has Annie actually aged? Is her clock for the Titan thing still ticking? Or does it actually stop when she crystallizes? If so, that makes the female Titan incredibly powerful. For that reason alone, it can like prolong. It can choose to kind of, I don't know. Then again, I don't know. Is Annie actually is she even consciously in there?
Yeah, it's interesting because on one end, yes, let's say my theory was correct. She's on one end, it's prolonging how long she's alive, but she's not actually prolonging her life because she's not living right now. You know what I mean? Like, and if she were to uncrystallize, she still only gets a total of 13 years.
Right. And the other thing is, the only thing that can get her out of that, presumably right now, is the Jaw Titan. And the way he does that is not, it's by killing her.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up.
Like, I don't think there's a way to like calmly get her out of that. So she put herself in it. I wonder if she can take herself out, because if she can't, it's going to be Jaw Titan City. And we saw how that goes already. We actually saw Willie Tiber, his sister, what happened. So, the other thing is that Zeke made some really interesting comments. He got reborn. His body got blown away. He took a thunder spear point blank.
Oh, yeah. The Zeke thing was cool.
Yes, I like that a lot. We've also seen that imagery before with the stars and like the northern lights and all that. We've seen that imagery. And he said that there was a strange girl in a strange place, rebuilding his body with soil. And it seemed like it took years, and it seemed like it was an instant. So there's like this weird time dimension where time is either slow or like instantaneous. But he was reborn, and he comes out all naked, and they show his ass for a long ass time, way longer than necessary, just to drive it home.
They do show his ass. I thought I was watching HBO.
Yeah, it was a very long time. And everyone's staring at him, and they're in disbelief. And they say, "What happened?" And he says, "I don't know."
Yeah,
I don't know. But then he says something about, "Are those the paths?"
Yeah. It's because Attack on Titan has flirted with, this weird time travel thing, this memories thing, time traveling or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the paths.
Yeah. Look, it's just like Demon Slayer. We got questions. Radio Shack. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on yet. I don't think we're meant to. We don't have enough information to really piece together the real like mysteries of this show yet. But I expect to be blown away eventually. And yeah, so he says, Aaron, isn't this what we're supposed to do? Like move forward. And so he starts to literally walk forward. And they ask him a question about what happened to the 30 people that you turned into Titans. And he's like, they're all disposed of. So there's no one in our way. But then Peak mentions that there are 300 people who drank the spinal fluid, which I think will be used later on. I do think that those 300 possible Titans, including Falco, are going to be used. And I think that's going to be a traumatic scene for Gabby, maybe, or just like a traumatic moment. But 300 people becoming Titans at once is going to be crazy. 300 Titans is old. That's an incredible number of Titans.
Yeah, there's still a lot to happen this season.
300 is so many. Jesus.
There's going to be there's some things to happen. They're setting up. It's interesting. I do like that. I think I would have liked it either way, but to say it, I like that it's just episode 17. Like this, like it's right where it was.
Yep.
And we're just going forward, and here we are.
The one thing I didn't like about this episode, I do want to get this off before we close out. I did not like how the Survey Corps or whoever the people of Paradise Island were just getting bodied by the Marley people. I didn't like that. They just were getting gunned down.
Shot. Yeah, they were getting shot up.
I didn't mind the aerial assault, but the people who were literally just on rooftop shooting at them just seemed ridiculous to me, because the way they got on rooftop was by coming from the sky first.
Yeah.
And they saw it. Like they saw them coming in. So I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck did you not, like, this is your home turf. You know what I mean? Like this is this isn't a sneak attack the way Aaron did it. The way Aaron did his sneak attack was wild. Aaron literally became a person with an amputee. He became an amputee. He was an imposter.
He infiltrated them for months.
Yes, he was there for a long time. Whereas Marley went the brute force route and came in through the front door.
Yep.
I mean, they literally flew in.
I mean, and they had an army. Like they have an army.
Yeah,
but
they do.
It's crazy.
But it was blatant that they were there. So the people who got killed in their gear, that 3D maneuver gear, I just thought was a bit ridiculous. Like they were getting bodied. And I don't know.
Yeah.
That just seemed a little.
They were just getting shot the fuck up. And then when the ones that survived to go on the other side of the roof, when the fucking airship came down and
that part I get though.
Running them up. Yeah.
Because the height advantage. I have the high ground.
Oh my god. It was fucked up. Marley's coming in dangerous. I'm super interested. There's a lot of things they gotta answer. The overall mystery of the Titans in general and all that crap, but also the plan, Aaron's plan, Zeke's full plan, the vision, the paths, the fucking time. Like, there's a lot they got to answer still, and I'm excited to see. I don't think they're gonna flounder. I feel like I could be wrong, but it seems to me the guy who wrote Attack on Titan, or girl, I actually don't know if it's a guy or girl, but the person who wrote Attack on Titan, it seems like they had a plan. Like they knew where they were going for a while. It doesn't seem like they just made this shit up as they went. Like I think that the ending, this finale, they've had this in their head for years now. Like I think they know where they're going, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Also,
similar to
Attack on Titan took the longest break. Attack on Titan took a break that was literally years. I remember 2013 to like, I don't know when it came back, 2018 or something like that. It took a really long break, and I feel like give them time.
Another benefit Attack on Titan has is, in terms of time and breaks, is whereas you look at things like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, Demon Slayer, etc., etc., etc. They are weekly manga. They come out every single week in the magazine. Attack on Titan was a monthly manga when it was being produced. So it being a monthly manga, one chapter a month means that the writer had a lot more time to sit with the ideas. So there's less chances for like, I wrote this the night before to happen.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, it reminds me of like a recent interview of Oda kind of came out where he said that he's really excited for Wano. And he specifically says, I've been so excited. I've had the ending scene, like the final scene of Wano in my head for such a long time now. Like I can't wait to finally draw it. it's like, God damn it, Oda, I'm already hype. You don't gotta hype me up anymore. Like, chill out.
Oda's great. All right. Well, I think that we can wrap up with that. This is episode 45 of the IMNerd podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Also, before we go, I just want to give a shout out to our patrons over at Patreon.
Shout them out.
Yes, sir. So we have Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Garen, Xavier, Hylian, TCG Automotive, Silver Chronic, Tyree Tinsley, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Dominique Roberts, Game Freak Yoshi, Alex Flamer, Michael, Gabe Marini, Andre Reynolds, CJ, DubKDad1, Saul, I don't know how to say your last name, so I'm gonna be honest, and I fucking feel like I butcher this every single time. But Saul, who's at Dabbers Gaming Cafe, Mitchell Nels, and Dan Variable. So you guys are all of our patrons. I believe, Dan, you are the newest one. So thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it. It goes a long way. And I hope you enjoy some of our exclusive content. On our Patreon, we have video versions of every episode, as well as episodes that only come out on our Patreon. Like an episode that we did. Month. Yes, we're going to do one for January. We just need the Discord to tell us what they want us to talk about.
Also, speaking of the Discord, if you are on the Patreon and you aren't in the Discord yet, send us a message on Patreon or whatever. Let us know. That way we can make sure we get you into the Discord.
Yes, please. Because I know not everyone is in the Discord that is a patron. So if you do want to join the Discord, because there's a lot of people in it now, but if you do want to join the Discord, just let us know and I will give you an invite immediately. Kenny or one of us will send you one. It takes almost no time to do it. And I've been pretty good at getting those out almost immediately after people subscribe, but in case we miss one. And I will be on vacation in California, so there will not be an episode coming out next Monday. But I will talk about the trip when we do so there'll be an episode next Thursday, and I'll do like a little recap of my trip, and we will probably be talking about, Odd Taxi or something. I forget what we said.
Yeah, maybe Odd Taxi, or we'll see what happens. Also,
we have a bunch of stuff that
you got your trip happening, and whatever happens.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for next week. But
I am excited. We're definitely, if not the next episode, I am really excited. We are 1,000,000% doing an Odd Taxi episode, because I actually really do want to talk about Odd Taxi.
I do too. So that, honestly, I want to say that's the next one, because unless something crazy happens to push it out the way, Odd Taxi should be next, because I really did like that show. I watched it in like a day and a half, and I have a lot to say about it as well. So
this is your warning if you're still listening. It's 13 episodes. You've got plenty of time. Go watch Odd Taxi. Trust me. Just watch it all the way through so that you can be here for the podcast episode.
Yeah. No, it's good. All right. Well, as I always say, guys, do the things that make you happy.
That's right. Do them. Because Frasier said so or something. I don't know.
All right. Peace.
See ya.